24%. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're just gonna jump right into it today. Drew is playing with some new stuff. Building a cart, because we just got ourselves a big boy welder. 300 amp capable, because we need to weld some thick stuff like the cylinder heads on Soccer Mom. We got it done with the little HTP. All right, so we needed a bigger welder to be able to weld on cylinder heads and blocks and stuff like that. But Drew's knocking out the cart. It is a water-cooled unit, which is real exciting because when we use the smaller welder, we just have it set up as an air-cooled welder and it ends up melting the torch head. So with a water-cooled setup, we won't have that problem. All right, so if you guys don't know, I'm gonna remind you, if you need welding supplies, check it out. You can go to usaweld.com and use the code WINWITHKSR at checkout, and it's gonna save you 5% on your order. And I'll tell you, I use the code for myself when I reorder my consumables and when we order a new welder, because it saves you money. I'm all about saving money when I can save money. So we're gonna do a time lapse on Drew assembling the welding cart. I'm actually editing a video that's about to come up this morning. I'm gonna get it wrapped up, get it on the internet, and then we're gonna dive into the new KSR Burnout car, or at least the new combination for the Burnout car that we will be doing some kind of weird stuff on. Yep, talk to you about that in a minute. You saw the thumbnail. We need a new Burnout car. Ooh, there's one there. I might have a problem. There's another one there. Yeah, that's another Lexus SC300. There's a green one. I actually have another blue one that's not even here. And then we have the gray one. They just keep multiplying. It's weird. So, kind of been having some discussion with the guys about what we should do for the Bristol Burnout contest. We need something better than what we've been bringing with the 2JZ powered car. But the 2JZ powered car, it's already kind of beat up. So we've been weighing back and forth. Do we want to drag one of these out of the woods? Well, at least that one's stuck up in the woods. That one's got an engine in it. This one is complete, running, driving. I take it home every now and then. I need to actually clean it up, maybe get it painted. It's still for sale. Not in a rush to sell it, but I have stuff to manual swap it. But I still have it. Kind of want to manual swap it, daily drive it. Be kind of fun. Get it painted, make it pretty. Got plenty of wheels for it with all the different race cars we've got. But this one has no engine or transmission, but it also has no diff or axles. That one is a complete automatic car and ran when parked, but it's back there now and it hasn't been out of there in a long time. But I think maybe the better move is to do some modifications to the Burnout car that we already have. Big modifications, like triple the power modifications, maybe. Let's go check out what's going on inside. All right, well, the Burnout car, I think is gonna stay the Burnout car. Just because I already kind of knocked the quarters in on it. And the plan is, and the reason for all of those other cars out back was to make another 300Z So the plan for the cars out back, at least one of them, and then they keep multiplying. The first idea was spare parts, you know, spare fenders, spare doors, spare hood, but also a spare shell that, as this one is being used up, we'll cut the cage out of it, cut the roof off of the other race car, and then just drop the cage down in it. This is a pretty good cage that's in this car. Be a heck of a lot faster than completely building an entire new car. So the plan for this car, and it still runs good. Remember at Indy, she wasn't very happy. Let's see if it's got enough juice to crank. So it is at least back on all 6 cylinders again. See, it tried to throw the belt off of it, so it screwed the belt up pretty good. But everything is still okay with this engine, but this is coming out. Why not? So what are we putting in? Well, right after Cleetus and Cars Bristol is LS Fest. So let's make it to where we can participate in both events with the same car. So this is a spare engine for Soccer Mom's first ever completely stock bottom end combination that we ran in the car back 5 years ago. I've had this sitting upstairs for too long. You can see it's corroded. We have already taken the cylinder heads off of it. Obviously need to do some cleaning there, but it's a 5.3 aluminum block. Does have the better rods in it, which will make plenty of horsepower with boost on them, but we're going to be running it naturally aspirated, but also with nitrous on it. I've already got nitrous in the car. The car made 185, 190 wheel horsepower before. I think it'd be kind of cool if we could make 550, 600. It's gonna take a pretty big nitrous shot to get it there, but we are going to be putting a power glide in the car. Got a power glide on order. We'll show you guys that when it comes in. But we've got to put this and kind of go through it. We got a cam shaft we're going to put in it. Got to put it down in there. So we've got to do this in like 5 days because Cleetus and Cars is soon, like a week from now. Yeah, plenty of time. Plenty of time. I think the biggest thing is probably going to be getting a drive shaft. Make sure we get that taken care of. But I'm going to clean up the 5.3, get it stuffed in there. So we've already started to accumulate some parts. Called up buddies at Holly and ordered quite a bit of stuff. Got some injectors. Actually borrowed an intake from CJ that came off of his truck, which we've got a pretty big update for the truck coming, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be on the dyno with its new combination probably right after LS Fest. Maybe the week between Cleetus and Cars and LS Fest. We'll figure that out. But we got a Terminator X for that matches the injectors, matches the engine. Got a NOS throttle body that'll fit behind, it'll fit the intake, you know, so we're spraying in the nitrous there instead of doing like a direct port deal. This is not 1/2-inch head studs because this is the box that the 1/2-inch head studs were in. So we're taking our old head studs from Soccer Mom, the stock sized head studs. We're going to put those in that engine, so it's got head studs on it. Got a good set of gaskets, and this is where things really get interesting. So we're going to do something a little silly with the exhaust because it's a Burnout car and it's got to be different. It's got to do something to get attention of everybody. Got to make it sound different. I've never done one of these before, but I'm pretty excited. This is just a eBay special from CX Racing. And we're gonna see how it, see what it sounds like. So along with all of our electrical parts from Holly, got a bunch of tubing, and we'll wait on the exhaust at least until we get a little bit further along. First we gotta get the engine in the car, but got some ideas for the exhausts that are gonna be pretty wild. But a whole bunch of little stuff. Got some stuff to make motor mounts. These bolt to the side of the engine. Some different piping we need. They're gonna change the fuel pump because we need a larger fuel pump. We also have one of Holley's Corvette style fuel pressure filter regulator assemblies. So we'll just use that. Should give us plenty of fuel, and it's only one fuel line that we have to run forward from the back of the car. But yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. I need to get in. I've taken the cylinder heads apart and gonna get them cleaned up. Probably skim the decks on them just a little bit, just so we can put a little bit more compression in the engine. At least that's the flat top 5.3, the true flat top. So we'll be a little bit ahead on doing that. Let's go look at some of the engine parts we've got for it. Things kind of got out of hand. I mean, well, yeah, there it is. Yep. I kind of started just wanting to clean up the ports a little bit, just make them a little better. You know, they're factory heads. They need a little help. Even though I know the LSs are very good engines and have really good cylinder heads for stock engines. But I've got this, see, I got this carbide here. And if you can tell, it's real aggressive. And then I got this one here for kind of smoothing things out. And then this one for some of the detail work. And the next thing I know, I kind of blacked out for like 5 hours. And then we've kind of got a halfway ported stock cylinder head. Did a decent little bit of work there on all the exhaust ports. That's where the majority of the material was removed. But I did kind of take a little bit behind the bowls just to smooth it out. Still got to wash them. And then I'm going to show you guys a little trick for doing, kind of cleaning up like a factory type valve job. It's not the right way to do it at a machine shop, but it's going to be an improvement when you're just trying to slap one of these things together like we're doing. Why did I port the cylinder heads for a burnout car? I don't know. Halfway through the job, I'm like, what am I doing? But here we are, and we now have some ported factory heads. Hopefully they're better than stock. You know, I'm kind of a guy that really likes data and can verify and see an improvement somewhere. It feels smoother, but air is a weird thing. Like in air going around corners and turning and tumbling. Sometimes you think you're making an improvement when it comes to cylinder head porting, and you're going backwards. So that's why I kind of stayed fairly conservative with things. Just mostly took out some of the ridges, smoothed the edge of the seat where it like was up against the head. There was a little tiny lip there. The exhaust, there's a big step that was right in there, so I kind of smoothed that out. Leave the ports a little rough, which helps with airflow because it's kind of like ripples on a lake. When there's little ripples, kind of creates that little boundary layer and it's faster. Same with air speed or an airflow, supposedly. Did a lot of reading. And this is kind of information that I knew from the years of working with cars, but didn't really do a whole lot on the intake side. But you can see I reshaped the guide a little bit, kind of took the edge off of it. The exhaust is what makes the big difference, because if you look, let's see if we can get the exhaust port against something there. There you go, you can kind of see how radiusing this out to match the top of the gasket and the hole in the gasket helps the air go straighter. Air doesn't like to turn, just like a liquid, because technically air is a liquid, scientifically speaking. Anyways, let's get back to some of the rest of the project and show you guys some of the other stuff we're doing to this thing and some of the other parts we're using to try and get the old burnout car. I think it's going to end up with like 3 times the amount of horsepower that it had with the 2JZ, naturally aspirated 2JZ. Let's see what we can do. All right, well, we're in my handy dandy little engine room that we use occasionally. See, we got a nice little toolbox in here. I don't know if I've ever showed you guys this setup or not, but kind of keep parts for, you know, whichever project we're building next. Got some leftover stuff from another LS that we're gonna build and put up for sale eventually. But it's got a pretty good thunderstorm going on outside too. One reason I got the doors closed. Guys are out working on some stuff. Drew's welding on a mount for the cable drive setup for Sean's Nova. Eddie working on mounts for the window net in the Corvette, and CJ's over working on Spencer's car. And the power almost just went off. But anyway, the Lexus. Now that I've recovered from my little porting job on the cylinder heads, which I do have a trick I'm going to show you in just a little bit, we wanted to get to the heart of the project. So we called up our buddies at BTR, Brian Tooley Racing, and ordered up one of their road race / drift camshafts. Told them the idea of this car is basically I want to park it on the rev limiter or up near the rev limiter with some tuning trickery. So it won't be hard on the rev limiter is the idea, but wound up 72, 7,500, hopefully for a shorter amount of time, because we're gonna have a lot more wheel speed, because we're gonna have at least twice the power that we used to have with the little 2JZ. So this camshaft, Brian said, was going to be great for sustained high RPM use. Ordered a set of their ultimate RPM valve springs. This is actually the same valve spring kit that we run in Soccer Mom. It's on the Lawn Dart. It's on a few other of our builds that we do here in-house. Basically, spin the daylights out of it. Even though the stock, you know, knock on wood, we've had really good luck with stock stuff. Our original, wow, that's a serious storm. So our original stock bottom end LS in Soccer Mom had 799 heads on it. They're actually sitting over in the corner at Will's house. A couple of bent valves in them from where we had a piston failure, but never heard a valve. I'm hoping I'm not jinxing myself by saying that we hope to not have any valve problems with this thing. It's a little bit different, obviously, because we are just parking it for, you know, the goal is 60 seconds. Get the tires off in 60 seconds, burn them as hard as we can, make as much smoke as we can, as quickly as we can, and hopefully it works. But got a whole bunch of stuff from BTR. Got a set of lifter trays, a set of their Delphi LS7 lifters, some push rods, all kinds of different gaskets and bolts for the like the camshaft retainer plate there. We got a new one of those. Some water pump gaskets, obviously all the front pump stuff, header gaskets, oil pan gaskets. And if you're wondering about an oil pan, we don't know what's gonna fit yet. And I have saved several different oil pans through the years. I've got a Corvette oil pan, a GTO oil pan, some truck oil pans, F-body oil pan, all kinds of different factory oil pans. And if we can't get one of those to work, we'll modify something. That's just what we're gonna have to do. But trying to keep this as low budget as possible to get it done as quickly as possible so that we can be on the dyno a few days from now. Yeah. So that's kind of day one of the project, or let's call that day zero. Kind of, you know, drug the engine down from upstairs. It was stored up in the loft. Got to take it outside, just pressure wash it, and then we'll be dragging it in and getting started on it. Yeah, I'll probably video a little bit of the assembly of the engine. I'm gonna degree the camshaft, get it set up and ready to rock and roll, and hopefully stuff in the car. Gonna have the guys working on the car while I'm putting the engine together, and we've got a mock-up block and transmission case that we will use to get that modified up into the car. And then we can measure for a drive shaft, hang the radiator, hang the transmission cooler, start plumbing stuff, and then hopefully we'll just drop the motor in. Transmission should be here tomorrow or the day after, and we will be rocking and rolling. The Holley stuff shouldn't be a problem. Done tons of those. Got some base tune-ups that I think will work. I might even just run the Wizard for you guys and just show you how it'll work with running the Wizard, and then what changes we make from there on tuning, some different things. This is a pretty healthy camshaft though. So it might not easily run on the Wizard, but we'll figure it out. Kind of just like if you were doing the project at home. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Tune back in tomorrow for the next video. Gonna do every day. Do a video every day until we get this project done. And yeah, you guys can follow along, see how quickly we can get it done, and so you can see what problems we encounter, how we get around them, and then progression of getting the car done, getting it up on the dyno. Test, no, it's not a test, it's a safety burnout, just to make sure it works. All right, so thanks for watching and subscribing. We'll see you guys tomorrow.